So I've just finished the Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx. And, okay, I'm not a political science student. I'm not trained in history or anything. I'm just going to talk about it. What strikes me is Victor Hugo's words in Les Miserables, when he says there are two main problems in the world. The first is to produce wealth. The second is to distribute it. And the communists think they've figured out the second part, but really what they've done is destroy the means of production. Okay, so the communists have destroyed the means of production. Now what? There's the first part that talks about how they're going to reorganize society. And they say that we're going to abolish private property, and we're going to abolish inheritance law, and if you decide to emigrate, we take everything from you. Which is okay, like I can get behind that. But then the way they decide to structure society is by giving absolute control to the state. And that's where I fall off with the Communist Manifesto. They say the state is going to have control of all the means of production, all the means of distribution, and also owns all property. Which is great when you think of the state as like this amorphous, not one person thing, but how it ends up working is a dictator. So, that's shitty. Let's put aside the Communist Manifesto and let's talk about Aldous Huxley. Aldous Huxley wrote Brave New World, I'm sure you all know it, but he wrote a better book, in my opinion, called Island, which was his utopian vision of society. So he was not communist and he was not capitalist. He was kind of, I want to say an anarchist. He was very into decentralization. Okay, so Island is about this capitalist journalist who goes to this remote Pacific island and he looks at these primitive peoples and realizes how amazing their society is. So Aldous Huxley puts in a lot of his beliefs about drug use. He believes that there is a drug out there that produces good feelings in small quantities, produces initiation in large quantities, and makes you go to sleep in very large quantities. And I think modern society has decided weed is that drug. Okay, so he also presents a society in which monogamy doesn't exist. So people are free to be sexually monogamous or sexually polygamous. It doesn't really matter. There is a family unit, but monogamy isn't enforced, which is a lot more freeing. So Aldous Huxley is concerned with freedom of humans, and that is the freedom that you don't get in communism. That's what he's trying to show you, that like freedom allows us to make the correct decisions and also allows us to be happier. So the main outcome of the society that he creates in Island is that they're all happy. And reading it, I'm like, is it because they're all on drugs? Because I don't know. Okay, so another and my favorite aspect of the society he creates is that children don't have to stay with their parents. So like the sexually polygamous lifestyle, it's also like familially polygamous. So if a child decides that their parent isn't taking good enough care of them, or if their parent is angry, or if they're just frustrated with the home situation, they can just go to a neighbor's house and they can live there for a bit. They can live there for several hours, or they can stay there for weeks. And it sort of balances out society and creates the happiest possible version that there could be. Okay, that is so good. Like, who needs children's aid? See, and that's the point he's trying to make. You don't need children's aid, you don't need like a welfare system when society is allowed to redistribute itself. but will it work in practice? I don't know. Okay, the other thing is that nobody has a job. Everyone sort of moves around in groups to perform all the labor. So everyone does farming, everyone does construction, everyone does that. And this is Aldous Huxley's way of eliminating classes, because if everyone does everything, then there's no real difference between them. So this is a very hopeful book in terms of this idealistic society that functions, that produces happier people, that produces true communities. But the end of the book is not helpful. Basically, capitalism ruins it. So there's this large corporation who wants the natural resources of the islands, it and its neighboring island. So basically it captures the mayor's son and sways him politically, which leads him to make a deal with a neighboring island and implies the end of the way of life for all of the islanders there. So what we're saying is that capitalism is going to attack any other form of government around it because it endangers itself. But such a society once existed, so there's always a chance that it could exist again. So my final point on the Communist Manifesto is the point of bourgeoisie socialism. He talks about the bourgeoisie convincing the proletariat that they are in fact members of the bourgeoisie and that we're all equal after all. But this is a time when there were lots of factory workers and industrialization hadn't progressed as far as it has now. So my question is, since automation has progressed so far and there is no real need for a working class in North American society, like in factories and that sort of thing, are we at bourgeoisie socialism? Because there is no true need for a proletariat at this point. What are we?